Hey everybody, Ray here, back for the finale of the Maker Comet monthly challenge. I hope that you guys have had a fun time in this challenge, and I can definitely tell you I learned a lot. But before we get to that, I will put my thoughts at the end of this video. But I'd kind of like to show you what I've been working on for this last week. This week was super busy, just trying to get everything finished for the big project at the end, and I'm pretty happy with the way it turned out. So let's take a look at this past week. Are you guys ready? All right, here we go. I thought it might be fun to mix the clay with some shimmer powders. Problem is, I couldn't figure out how it would turn out using either white clay or translucent clay. So I did a mix of both, just as an experiment. I then used a silicone mold in the shapes of jewels and molded the clay into cute shapes like this. I repeated this process many times with many different powders. Needless to say, this made a ton of gems, which you'll see make an appearance later. Now on to illustration. My first idea was to create a wizard's lab with my husband and the cats and myself all dressed up as wizards and witches. I built a whiteboard using Miro's Google image search feature to help me frame my thoughts and give me some ideas. After all this hard work, I wound up changing my mind. I'm a little embarrassed to say, but I've been playing a lot of Genshin Impact lately, so I thought it might be fun to dress us all up as characters from the game. I definitely bit off more than I could chew by trying to illustrate 4 characters in less than a day, so I ultimately just decided to focus on the cats instead. They're cuter than us anyway. Not too long ago, I took a class where I challenged myself to draw the cats as cartoon characters. I already had the process down a little bit, so that helped me crank these illustrations out a little faster. Call it cheating if you want, but I only had less than a day to crank these 2 guys out. Like most of my illustrations, this one started about the same, starting with pencil, and then moving on to outlining in pen. For me, the most satisfying part is coloring, because you're finally rounding that bend, you're almost finished, and this is where your characters really start to come to life. I'm not going to show the illustrative process for our other cat, Precious. I want to keep some things a surprise. Now on to Blender. I wanted to create a dungeon where the cats find a treasure chest. So to do this, I created a cube, and I shoved the camera on the inside. And that was it. Done. Just kidding. If only it were that easy. I also wanted to put in some wall sconces with flames, and of course texture the walls to make them look more dungeon-like. And of course, the treasure chest. So much modeling to do, and so little time. Once the dungeon and the chest were modeled in Blender, there were just a few things left to finish up. The first was the pile of treasure that I wanted to go into the chest. I textured some polymer clay and then placed it over a foil armature to create something that looked like a pile. I then stuck in my gems and took a photo of this and was good to go. I took my photo of the treasure pile and I removed the background from the image so that I would have a transparent image. The reason for this is I could then bring it into Blender and use it almost as a texture on top of a plane, which I could then put and position into the treasure chest. I repeated this process for the cat illustrations as well. And now the moment you've been waiting for. Here it is, the final results of a month of learning, of experimenting, and trying out new programs and new techniques. I won't say that the process was exactly easy, nor was it always fun either, but that's how learning goes, and I'm proud of how this turned out, even though it's not perfect. I hope that by showing you my flaws and imperfections in my work, that it might inspire you to try new things and new techniques. I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to make the perfect thing and then are very disappointed when it doesn't turn out. I think another area where we fail ourselves creatively is when we compare our work to those who have been doing this sort of thing for a long time. And that's not fair. You have to start somewhere. So in conclusion, start. Start something. Start anything. The process is worth it if you're willing to stick with it. I hope that you'll continue to support Maker Comet's creative endeavors in the future. After this month's challenge, I realized that I probably can't run the same challenge every month, as I would never get anything done. So please stay tuned, because we will be doing other fun challenges, just maybe not as intense as this month. Alright, we'll see you next time.